What's up, guys? Saturday morning here in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's about 11 o'clock. So let me tell you what happens to me sometimes. I make these videos on my phone. I just hold my phone up, and obviously I'm not on Wi-Fi on my phone when I'm outside. But when I go back in the house, my phone will switch over to Wi-Fi. So as a YouTuber, let me give you a little behind the scenes here. As a YouTuber, when you upload a video, it takes quite a while sometimes, man. Depends on the size of the file and everything else. You know that. And it also depends on when I upload it, right? Like what time of the day and stuff like that. And so what'll happen is sometimes I will record this video with my phone, and then I'll hit stop, and then I'll start uploading it, not using the Wi-Fi, just using my regular phone, on my phone data. And then once I get back in the house, the Wi-Fi will switch over, and it depends how long it takes to switch over to the Wi-Fi. And it's just all the stuff, and it takes a while. Next thing I know, I'm looking, and it doesn't even do it. Then I'm like, all right, well, let me go in the house, and then once I go in the house, then I upload it. Because with iPhones, because I have a MacBook, I will transfer over the video over to my MacBook and maybe put it into the video editor and then edit it like that, or not edit it and just upload it from that. But sometimes the Wi-Fi, it takes a little bit before I even download it to the MacBook. And also sometimes it'll take a while to get to the MacBook. So when you guys are watching my videos, especially on the East Coast at 8 or 9 o'clock, I done shot that video hours earlier. So sometimes I miss out on some news. And yesterday, I already had uploaded a video, but Tucker Carlson came out and had a bombshell, not a bombshell to us, but a bombshell to, I guess, the people that don't know what's going on. That the January 6th situation, or the January 5th, situation was not as what it was as it seems. Now that doesn't surprise me, obviously, because Tucker said he's not a conspiracy theorist. I am a bit of a conspiracy theorist, and I don't trust anything the media says, especially the Democratic Party. And so when he said that he interviewed the chief, I think he said the chief of police or something, who was not a Democrat or Republican. He worked for Nancy Pelosi, he said. And you heard what he said in the video. He basically said there are federal agents all through the crowd, which we already knew, but just to hear it from that type of person, again, why? You know what I mean? Why, number one, why would they be out there inciting riots and pretending like to be, Trump supporters and all that? Because we've seen all these three-letter agency people with the brown pants and the blue shirt or the black shirt, and then they'll have a mask on trying to hide their face. They'll wear the same exact FBI or three-letter word stuff on their uniforms on, and then they'll just put a face mask on, and then they'll go out there and say, and pretend like to be a Trumper or whatever. We laugh and joke about it, and even Tucker said, like, wow, I wouldn't even have thought of that. And again, Tucker's not a dumb guy by no means, but when you think about that, and we joke about it and stuff like that, but when you really get down to the surface level of that, ladies and gentlemen, that is scary. Okay? Not only is it scary when you pull back the curtain on that, but then when you actually find out that your whole life you've been lied to by the media, meaning you listen to, because now that we're in the know more than we were a few years ago. Now, some of you were in the know way before me, but when you listen to CNN and MSNBC and these shills, man, for the Democratic Party, Fox News, even them, you heard what Tucker said. They fired him before he could have that interview, or they aired the interview with the guy. They fired him for it. Well, I don't know if it was for that, but I think it was, in general, a lot of stuff. Thank God he got that January 6th stuff out. And I love the fact that Tucker is working by himself, man. I love it. On his own, with no filters. It's scary when you find out how much these people lie. And not only that they lie, that's the scary thing. But what might be even more scarier than that level is the people that believe it. Number one, the people that just absolutely believe it. If you state facts, when it comes to politics, if you state facts or factual information when it comes to Trump or Biden and all that, and you go against the regime and say, yeah, I like Trump's policies, or I don't like Biden, you're considered a Trumper. And if you're a Trumper, that means you're bad. You're a bad person. They actually judge you by who you vote on, and they won't even talk to you. And that's how scary it is to brainwash these very, very weak-minded people, right? But even more level than that, what's even darker than that is, why are they doing it? The people that are running the show. Why do they do these things? And that's a real hard pill to swallow. I don't know if you've seen that lady that came out. It was either yesterday or today. I saw it on Twitter, that she basically said that she was over there on that island where JE and a lot of celebrities and famous people, she said she was done wrong a lot of times every day for a certain amount of years, you know. And then you're looking at all this stuff about that situation, and also, you know, you got all the devil worshiping stuff, the satanic stuff, just out in the open, man. Because they used to hide it, but you saw what happened earlier in the year with the Grammys. I think it was in March. There's just a lot of evil stuff just popping rearing its ugly head. And it used to be before social media really came out, it would be called a conspiracy theories, you know. And I just watched a really, really good, a great, and I highly suggest it. I watched Jack Mahler's interview. Jack Mahler's, he's got a show now. I think it's called Money Matters. Jack Mahler is a big coiner, and he's the CEO of Strike. He had a great interview, almost 3 hours long, with Jack Dorsey. Jack Dorsey flew him out. Now, you guys know who Jack Dorsey is, but for the few that don't, he's the original starter of Twitter, and Jack Dorsey is very influential and a very controversial person. You either love him or hate him. Very smart though. I'm not quite sure about him yet. I still have my reservations about him, but you can learn stuff from anybody. They had a great interview. He flew Jack Mahler's out, and Jack Mahler's went out to his house, and they stayed out there for a week, and they were just on a absolute beautiful piece of land, doing the interview. And they said it. They said, look, because this country started going down, because he straight up asked him. Jack Mahler's asked Dorsey, you know, what do you think about what happened with the Kennedys? And Dorsey said, without a doubt, 100%, JFK was murdered by you know who. Okay, he was flat out murdered, and I'm just like, wow. And of course, you know, we already know that. A lot of people have talked about that. Tucker has talked about that, you know. But just to be saying it freely, it's scary. You know, I don't know if you know this, and I don't know if this is a rumor or not, but Robert F. Kennedy Jr., he doesn't do any. I've seen him do it, but I guess he must have been some kind of enclosure or something. But he doesn't do any outside public speeches, because he's afraid that they're going to do what they did to his uncle and his father. And would you be surprised? And you know, I'm looking at this stuff now on the timeline we're on in mid 2023, and I listened to Tucker Carlson and Andrew Tate, and you saw what they did to Julian Assange, and you know what's going on with Donald Trump. I'm afraid, man. I'm afraid for these people, you know, and that's why, you know, my wife tells me I have to watch what I say and stuff like that, even though I'm a tiny small fry or whatever. They just get rid of you, man. You know, and Andrew Tate said it best. First they cancel you, then they jail you for no reason, and if those two don't work, you know what the next step is. And that's a scary thing. And we talk about what happened in November in 1963 when the great John F. Kennedy was assassinated. That was a great man, man. I've done a lot of research on that man. Again, he's not perfect. Nobody is, and neither are you. Because every time I mention somebody's name, somebody's got to say, well, he, blah, blah, blah. Again, we're not Jesus or God. We're just human beings, very flawed. I know what he did with Marilyn Monroe. I was going to say something, but I ain't going to say that. But the flesh is weak, ladies and gentlemen. So when that happened, that devastated this nation. It's still devastating 60 years later. You know, we got the anniversary coming up in 5 months of that. You know, and I reflect on stuff like that. And the country absolutely changed. Now, most of us are living in a post John F. Kennedy death afterwards. But I couldn't imagine what it was like when that happened on that day. I guess I could probably compare it to maybe September 11th or something like that, because that was a tragic day in history in our country. Pearl Harbor was a tragic day. But to have, and I'm not saying his life is worth more than the people that died in 9/11, not even close. What I'm saying, just a tragedy, just you remember where you're at that day. And when John F. Kennedy was assassinated, again, I watched so many documentaries on it. My grandparents told me about it. My dad was a 13-year-old. He was born in 1950. He was 13 when it happened. A lot of my aunts told me about it, but my grandparents really tell me about it. And they said that was devastating to have the United States president assassinated on live television. I mean, that's bold, man. And the word conspiracy theories really started coming out at that point. You guys know that. And that's kind of what I want to talk to you about today a little bit. Conspiracy theories. You know, it's like, what is a conspiracy theory? A conspiracy theory is basically saying that you're just making something up and it's a lie, I guess. And like I said before, and I'll say it again, truth is the new hate speech. I believe that all mainstream medias are the ones that are the conspiracy theories or conspiracy theorists. They're the one putting out conspiracy theories. You think you're going to turn on the news and they're just going to tell you 100% truth? Can you imagine one day, what's that movie called, The Purge, where you can basically commit crimes and kill everybody for 24 hours? Can you imagine that one day, for one day or a week or whatever, there was a purge on truth, that every single news outlet had to tell the 100% truth about everything? That'll flip this country upside down, man. This world upside down. But when you tell the truth or state facts, like when you see these interviews, when you see a Republican guy that sticks up for Trump talking about, you know, just saying, hey, what do you think about Donald Trump, and talking to a Democrat? It's mostly Republicans versus Democrats. Now, Republicans lie too, don't get me wrong. But when you state facts to those Democrats, they either get really, really angry, they shut down, they leave, they start arguing and screaming. They don't like facts, man. Again, the truth is the new hate speech, ladies and gentlemen. It just is. And when you're just fed, sitting in an echo chamber of what you want to hear, and you're fed lie after lie after lie, you get distorted on what is the truth and what isn't. And when John F. Kennedy got killed that day, that changed our entire nation. And it's really heavy on my mind now, because I really like Robert Kennedy Jr., man. And I really like Trump. And I'm almost want to say John F. Kennedy, those two are kind of a mix between him. Because even though John F. Kennedy, was really, really loved a lot by a lot of the nation, he goes against the machine. Donald Trump is hated by the nation, a lot of the nation, almost half, because they've been lied to. But he goes against the machine, and his followers, his MAGA people that really, really love him, are like the people that love John F. Kennedy. And Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has the same ideals as Robert. Now, I don't agree with a lot of his policies. Let me just make that clear. But the man tells the truth. I don't believe in climate change, being an activist and all that other crap. I believe in nuclear and fossil fuels. I just believe in that kind of stuff. But I will give Robert Kennedy this. He's a Bitcoiner. And I don't know if you read the news about that. He got, they found out he had a bunch of Bitcoin. Look that up. Google that. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Bitcoin. Then he said it was his wife's or whatever. That's why you don't keep your Bitcoin on an exchange, ladies and gentlemen. You keep it out there in the ether. But anyways, Donald Trump goes against the machine, and so did John F. Kennedy. It doesn't matter if the people don't like you or not. The people don't matter to this evil empire. They just don't. All that matters is their agenda, the control, and the maintenance of power. And they can't have that with Donald Trump. If Donald Trump's in office, that just messes them up. I mean, as much as I don't like a lot of things Donald Trump did, because I believe he was weak a lot of times. I've said this over and over again. He's my number one candidate right now because they don't want him. The day he got into office, and even before that, they were smearing that man. I mean, that Russia stuff, and, calling somebody a racist over and over. Can you imagine if he wasn't a racist? I don't know if he is or not. I don't know him personally. But I've never heard him say anything racist. I think we all have a little bit in us. It depends on what kind of person you're talking about when it comes to racism and how far you go with it. But can you imagine if you're not a racist person, you have a whole bunch of white or black friends or whatever you are? It's really for white people. So it's because when you call a black person a racist, black people don't care about that. It's calling a white man in today's society a racist. You know how big of a deal that is. If you're at your job and everybody at your job, because some people in the back of the room or the back of the office running everything that nobody can see, just spread a rumor and then told everybody that you were a racist. No proof or nothing. And you had to go to work every single day answering questions about why you were racist and you're not. That's tough, man, to deal with. And that's what they did to him. And then they said, well, you only got your job because some Russian spy came in here and helped you get the job. And there was a big conspiracy and there's a big investigation on you about all these things that you didn't do and numerous other things. That's what they did to Donald Trump. And again, the man's nowhere near perfect, but because all those things happened to him, because of what happened in the election of 2020, which you guys know what happened with that. And because of all those things and just the evil stuff that they're doing to him right now with all these complete and utter bogus charges. Meanwhile, because guys, you got to compare, because it's funny when you bring up Biden and you bring up Trump, you bring up Biden, except when they don't want you to. When you say, well, when the people that don't like Trump, look at the documents. Well, Biden had them too. See, why do you got to bring that up? Well, you do it the other way. When I say something about Biden, you bring up Trump. So what are you talking about? When you have an obvious criminal in the White House right now, a sitting president whose son obviously brought cocaine into the White House. We know he brought it in. Why do we know that? Context clues. And I'll get into that in a second. Let me finish my thought. I always do that. He's getting charged. He's facing up to 400 years and 37 indictments for having some paperwork that he was allowed to have. Meanwhile, Biden had the same exact thing, but worse, because he was a senator and a vice president, which he didn't have, he didn't have authority to, what is it called? You know what they do with the documents as a president. You can, I forget the word, not make them confidential or whatever it is. Now he's facing 400 years for that. And then if that doesn't work, they're going to put something else on him and something else on him. Meanwhile, you got another guy in there just completely committing crimes and doing all this stuff. And that's why, as of now, I just have to vote for Donald Trump. I have to. It's not about Democrat or Republican. It's just that. Now, that's why I'm thinking now. In another timeline, another world, I would love to have Ron DeSantis. In another timeline, another world, I'd love to have Robert F. Kennedy. But when you have a sitting president that has a son that's on drugs, and let me tell you, I have a lot of experience in that. I have a lot of friends and family members that have been on drugs. I know them, and that man's a drug addict. I mean, that doesn't need to be said. I mean, think about it. Look at how he was acting on that balcony. You guys saw that video. He didn't sniff cocaine. When he went like this, he didn't sniff cocaine. He smokes crack. He's a crack smoker, okay? And when he smokes crack, when you're a crackhead, because I've had uncles, cousins, friends who smoke crack. It's a bad drug, man. Me personally, I've never did any drugs. I've never did any. I never smoked a cigarette. I never tasted alcohol. Now, I'm not perfect. I've made some mistakes in my life, believe you me. But as far as ingesting that stuff, I've never done that. I'm not saying that to be on a high horse. I just know what it does to people. And that's another reason I like Donald Trump. To change the subject again about Donald Trump. He's never drank in his life. Now, I just found that out when he was the president, his first term, early in his first term. I was like, wow, that's something I connect with, because I've never done that either. And if you have done it, it's not make you a bad person. Just that takes a lot of discipline, especially being I was in the Navy. I saved a lot of people's life back then too, because back then in the 90s when I was in the Navy, everybody was drinking and falling out, and there was no cell phones like that. We didn't really have cell phones. If we did, they probably wouldn't worked overseas. And even when we weren't overseas, my friends were getting drunk and all messed up, and I had to go out there and save them. I had to take the duty van and go and pick them up, because I was the only one sober on the ship. And I like sober people. You know what I mean? They have a strong mind, usually. But I'm going to say this. Hunter Biden is an absolute crackhead. And where I'm from, crackheads don't get treated that well. He smokes crack. And when he has to go to a function, what a crackhead will do is they can't smoke crack at the function, obviously. So they'll take a little bump of coke. Even though coke is crack, it's a different form. So they'll sniff the coke in between the time. Hunter Biden brought that cocaine in, ladies and gentlemen. There's no question about that. And you can see how he was acting up there. He wasn't doing this because he was because everyone said, oh, he sniffed the cocaine. He wasn't doing that. He was doing that because he's fidgety. When you sniff cocaine, you want to make sure that stuff ain't on your nose. So they'll go like this to make sure it's not, and he kept doing it. And then he's acting all, he's moving his hair, and because he's fidgety. He's like having about 20 cups of coffee at once when that cocaine hits you. I've seen people do it, man. You know what I mean? And he's an absolute crackhead. And I'm not downing anybody that's on drugs. There's a lot of people on drugs. The problem is when they're hiding the fact that this man brought the cocaine in the White House, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, that should be one of the most secure buildings, if not the most secure building in the world. The President of the United States is in there. You know what I mean? That could have been anthrax. That could have been some kind of chemical. But you already know that it was a family member that got through the regular security, because it's a lot of security in the White House. A lot of security. And we talk about conspiracy theories. I mean, they've changed the story 3 or 4 times on how that cocaine got in the office, or where it came from, or where it was at. First it was in the library, then it was in the West Wing, then it was, oh, maybe Kamala Harris. Maybe we can say that so we can get the American Psycho in, Gavin Newsom, because that's what they want. They want the American Psycho in there. You best believe that, okay? But when we tell the truth, we're conspiracy theorists, though. You know what I mean? It's just absolutely insane. They do not want Kamala Harris. They picked Kamala Harris as an affirmative action hire. She is not a black woman, ladies and gentlemen, okay? She's a black woman when it's convenient. Then she's an Indian. Then she's this and that. She is the dumbest woman ever to be in the White Office, or in the White House office. She has no idea what she's doing, and everybody knows that. And that's part of the reason why Joe Biden, Brandon, can't step down, because that's his insurance. Who the hell wants Kamala Harris to be the president? I'd rather have Brandon than Kamala Harris. So that's why you see Gavin Newsom out everywhere, because he's just, well, I say Moses because he's the Moses over there in California. People love him over there, man. The Democrats, they love that dude. You know what I mean? American Psycho. Conspiracy theories are something else, man, but the real conspiracy is the mainstream media. That's why I tell people to turn it off. You know what I mean? The news in general, when it comes to from the people that control this, are conspiracies. They're lies. A conspiracy is a lie, ladies and gentlemen. And we need to know the truth. And the truth is not hate. It's the truth. And that's what we live by. So that's why I asked you guys, what do you want me to talk about here on YouTube? Because I can only tell you the truth. I cannot tell you a lie. I cannot tell you that I believe that Bitcoin is a better, or gold is a better form of savings or better money than Bitcoin. I can't tell you that in good faith, because that's not the truth. Silver is great. You need silver. And I'm going to make a video again, like I told you, 5 reasons why, as a 48-year-old man in the position I'm in today, why I still have silver. Also, I'm going to make a few more videos. But watch that video I did yesterday. That was a pretty good one about energy. You know what I mean? That's a good one. But what do you guys like me to talk about? Leave me a comment in the comment section below. And if you see a video topic that you want that somebody else says, just hit the heart button or the like button. Whichever one gets the most, I'll do it. I'll do a video on that, okay? Stay away from lies, ladies and gentlemen. I'll never tell you a lie. 2 things I'm always going to talk about on this channel is silver and Bitcoin. Regardless if you like it or not. I know the Bitcoiners don't like it and the silver stackers don't like it, but I got to do it because it's the truth. We need both, ladies and gentlemen. We need both. And what you also need is a big dose of the truth. I love each and every one of you, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace and love, guys.